Today we find out more about why giant sequoia trees are so carefully preserved these days, and then drive down the only road into America's deepest canyon in Kings Canyon National Park. Our hotel in Reedley, California offered waffles for breakfast. Not bad. And with that, we set out to continue our technique of ping-ponging between the San Joaquin Valley by night and the Sierra Nevada mountains by day. Yesterday was Sequoia National Park. Today, it's Kings Canyon National Park. The 2 tokens we bought at the visitor center reflect the 2 main draws of this park: the world's second biggest tree, General Grant, and of course Kings Canyon, the deepest in the USA at 8,200 feet from peak to floor, depending on how you measure it anyway. This visitor center is in a small section of Kings Canyon National Park not connected to the main part, and it's all about the sequoia trees here. This little chunk was established as the tiny General Grant National Park in 1890, basically to protect the tree and its neighbors. My favorite display is this section of a sequoia, showing the years that fire attacked but didn't kill the tree. Dendrochronology, what a thing. This little exclave of Kings Canyon National Park is indeed full of huge sequoias, and it was an appropriate bridge from yesterday to the canyon. You can walk through a fallen tree here, the long way, and get a more close-up feel for the size of these things. It all culminates here at General Grant. This tree was named, of course, for Union General Ulysses S. Grant after the Civil War, but before he became president. Its longtime official nickname, thanks to President Calvin Coolidge in 1926, is the nation's Christmas tree. General Grant is the second biggest tree by volume in the world. It was the third until the Washington tree in Sequoia National Park was weakened by a lightning strike and then collapsed under the weight of snow in 2005. As yesterday, General Grant challenged attempts to photograph it all. I had fun playing with my phone's panorama feature though. At first, Americans didn't believe that there were trees this big out in California. This one was cut down in 1875, so a cross-section could be sent to the country's 100-year anniversary exhibition in Philadelphia. But even after they saw it, people still didn't believe it, and they called it the California Hoax. Later, the Mark Twain tree, 300 feet tall, was also felled. Fortunately, we don't destroy these amazing things quite as brazenly today. As we left General Grant, I noticed the trip odometer had just hit 12,000 miles. Nice transition to the next part of the day, the road down into Kings Canyon. California Highway 180 is one long dead-end trip into the canyon, and it's the only way back out. It actually connects the 2 parts of the national park, Grant Grove we just left and the much larger canyon part added in 1940. We slowly dropped out of the thick forests around the Sequoia Grove and were awestruck by the views. Way down there at the bottom was a thin little band of water. It looked so wispy from up here. Of more immediate interest were the hillsides around us, apparently recovering from human-caused fires, with their strange Gothic vegetation and pale purple flowers. At one point we turned off the road into a campground area, but there was no place for a picnic. It looked like we might not find a suitable place to eat. What a shame. As the road got closer to the canyon floor, the rock walls grew in height. The road itself was fun, another of those ones that dare the driver to enjoy the views while also trying to steer. And with the walls and peaks above so distracting, it was a surprise to look down and suddenly realize we'd reached the river. And here, that little distant motionless strip of turquoise and white is a violent pounding force, crashing over rocks and raging around bends. This is the North Fork of Kings River, which starts near here and flows into the San Joaquin Valley near Fresno behind us. Highway 180 follows the mighty river for quite a ways, another of this road trip's best drives. But up ahead, a picnic spot more amazing than we could have dreamed of. For this is Grizzly Falls. It's 80 feet high and, on this day anyway, was pouring an enormous volume of water over the cliff. The constant loud white noise made it hard to even hear each other. But I asked Maceo to get some photos of quite possibly the trip's most scenic blood sugar check. The splashing water gets all over everything, even if you're not standing all that close to the falls. In other words, a great place for a picnic. We wanted to see everything we could, so we drove to the road's end, which is called Road's End. From here, without hiking through the backcountry, all you can do is look up and out to the huge mountains and dense forests. It seems endless, a mountain paradise. The way back out of the canyon was, of course, along the same road we came down, but as usual, the views going up, at a different time of day, offered a new perspective on it all. Back at the top, there is one opportunity to not have to retrace your steps through Grant Grove, and I always like to see a new path I've never been on. This is a long cut-through called Hume Lake Road. It's roughly paved, super curvy, and choked with tree shadows, and utterly without other people. Until you get to the bottom. Some kind of summer camp was in full swing, and you come around a bend and you see why. This is Lake Hume, in a perfect setting. Looks fun. And then the road immediately snaps back to its narrow, untouched backwoods self. Did we just hallucinate that mirage? Highway 99 is a major artery through California's Central Valley, mostly straight and boring. But it led us to the city of Merced, which was immediately attractive and welcoming. And so day 72 ended right beside Highway 99, in a decent little motel, just right after a day of such extreme scenery. Good morning! Breakfast's here. You're welcome. Day 73 was a driving day, further north through California to get ready for the next national park. If you know your California geography, you might wonder why we're not going to Yosemite National Park, which is just down the road. Well, the main road in the park was closed due to snow, and we weren't able to do any hiking anyway, so I thought we should wait until we can see it properly. I also spent an hour trying to work out a trip to see Lake Tahoe, but the area is so expensive and so out of the way that it just didn't work out. All that will have to wait. So we're heading north. But before leaving Merced, it was haircut time. Haircuts at this place are normally $20, but my barber only charged $15 because there's hardly anything to do with my hair, just mow it down. So I tipped $5. And once again, I'm nearly presentable. Let's hit the road. I wasn't really enjoying Highway 99 any more than I enjoy interstates, so we turned on to smaller roads as soon as we could, and instantly saw more of the unique character of this part of California. See, it's always good to take the smaller roads. The roads around here do have their extremes. On one hand, gorgeous fields full of yellow flowers. On the other, cars on fire along I-5 north of Sacramento. Road tripping is a dangerous prospect sometimes. Speaking of extremes, it was 100 degrees F outside. And as we pulled into the town of Colusa, what did we see but an amazing looking building called 100F. A welcome from the travel gods to Colusa and to our room at the friendly little Riverside Inn. The guy who checked us in recommended a nearby restaurant on the Sacramento River, and also grumbled that we would probably not want to be here tomorrow because the forecast was for 108-degree temperatures, which he complained was unheard of. Due to the heat and mosquitoes, we declined the Riverside restaurant idea and got dinner from a supermarket. My beer was called Widowmaker, with over 10% alcohol, and made by a company in a place I'd never heard of, Bernie, California. But we will find out what that is tomorrow. At any rate, we're ready for the next national park nearby, which I'd also never heard of. We said goodbye to the giant piece of fruit on our floor, Northern California decoration or motel mistake, I don't know, and rested up for tomorrow. On day 74, we escaped the heat. Sort of. We're off to a place where boiling pools of mud dot otherwise cool and snowy alpine slopes, Lassen Volcanic National Park.